not rules, but there's different concepts, different skills that you have to master. So what makes for a great rock climber isn't just strength, isn't just technical prowess, but there's other aspects like the ability to read a route. And so route reading is the ability to stand on the ground, to look at a sequence of holds, and then to imagine and project yourself on the wall to work through the sequence. It's visualization in real time. Like, I think rock climbing is the perfect activity that correlates to climbing, or I'm sorry, to business, because when you're visualizing in baseball, you know what the outcome already is. Like, you already know there's a set number of inputs. The guy's going to throw the ball at you. I'm going to swing the bat. I'm going to make contact. I'm going to hit a home run, right? You can visualize this known outcome. But in rock climbing, when you first walk up to a cliff, you do not have a clue. You just see it's either a blank wall if it's just rained, or maybe you see some chalk on the wall where previous climbers have gone. And you can then kind of determine, okay, other people have used those holds. In what ways did they use them? Did they put their right hand here and then cross over? Did they then use a Gaston? Or did they do this undercling sequence and come over this way? And so you're problem solving. And this is like when you start a business for the very first time. You're like, I see some chalk marks. I have some ideas of like what other people have done. I watch some YouTube videos, and like they say I need to get leads. I need to convert those leads. I need to deliver a product. I run a Facebook ad, right? I have some general idea. The best climbers, through both, just experience and practice, have the ability to read a route more easily. They can see themselves up there. This is the other part that's really tough, is like when you're looking at a cliff and it's 30, 40 feet above your head, you're trying to project yourself in time and space onto it. And so what looks viable might actually be like, you're like, oh, okay, I can reach here. But then when you get there, it's actually, you imagined it was going to be like this, but it's actually like this. Yeah. You're like, oh shit, those holds are further away than I even realized, or the wall is steeper than I realized, or there's no feet there where I can stand as I thought there was going to be. And so one is the ability to read the route, project, and come up with a plan. And then the other is to adapt in the midst of the plan, and to get there and to say, oh, okay, I was wrong with my assessment. This is what I need to do next. Now, this is all a very particular type of climbing that we call on-site climbing. Okay, so what on-site climbing means is you walk up to a cliff, nobody gives you any ideas, no feedback, no coaching. They don't tell you, okay, this is where you do this. This is the move sequence that other people have used. You go up to it and figure it out on your own. On-site climbing is considered to be like the hardest version. And what climbers will do is, because they want to test themselves, like in climbing, there's grades, like, oh, this is a 12A, this is a 13A, 14A, right? There's grades to things, and we're constantly trying to climb the hardest things that we can. But it's not just about climbing the hardest physical thing you can, because sometimes, like if you're on-site climbing, you're walking up to it with no what we call beta, no information, and you're trying to figure it out on your very first try. That's fundamentally different. If I'm able to walk up to a climb and do it on my very first try, but it took you 20 tries, we both climbed it, but who climbed it better? Who had the more impressive ascent, right? And so at the highest levels, you'll have a guy, they'll be competing for this, where it's like, oh, he on-sighted a 14A. It's like, that's pretty damn impressive. The other guy, he did a 14A, but that guy on-sighted it. And the difference between an on-site and what we call a red point is, okay, you've tried this thing. You've collected all the beta you possibly can. You've given this climb multiple efforts. You've worked through the sequences, and now you're projecting it. And so that might mean like you get it on your 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 50th, 100th try, right? That's your red point. It's like you red pointed it. But like the pinnacle is the ability to see it from the ground, visualize it with no information, and just climb it. It's pure, right? There's one other, because we're going into the nerdy weeds here. There's one other variation. There's the on-site, which is no information, first try. You like one shot, one kill. I did it. The other one, and this is more common these days, on-site climbing is actually really rare, just because there's so many opportunities to have seen other people do a climb, especially if you're on vacation and you go to a cliff for the very first time. That's your best best chance to on-site climb things. But if you're in your local crag, you've probably seen somebody climb that climb before, just happenstance. And so you technically can't on-site it. But what you can do is you can flash it. And a flash is when you have information, somebody's sprayed you down, they gave you all the beta, you've seen other people do it, and now you're going to try and just do it for the first time on your first try. So you have information, but you're still going to try to do it on your first try. So how I bring this all to to business is that the on-site is very, very rare. It's like you were just operating in a silo. You never read a business book. You never had a mentor. You never saw anybody else build a business, and you fell into it ass backwards, and you're like, oh, look, business, right? There's a lot of instances of that, but like it's rare. Better is to flash it, like more common, where it's like, okay, I read all the business books. I got a coach. He talked me through it. I'm going to try and be successful on my first try. Most likely though, you're going to fail even after a flash attempt, if it's at your limit. And most businesses are going to be at your limit because you've never done it before. And so most businesses are like redpoint projects where you're running through it over and over and over and over again. You're falling at this point and then falling a little bit higher, and then you're falling at this point a little bit higher than that. And I like that analogy because climbing has a definitive endpoint. It's the top of the cliff or the anchor point, but in business, there's not. And so like business is just a game of perpetually red pointing the project. You're just continually getting higher and higher and higher on this infinite cliff that has no end. And I just like that analogy because it's like, you're going to constantly be running into cruxes. Those are like the parts that challenge you on the climb, or what you could call like the new constraint. I can't break through to the next level until I solve that next little section of the climb. I can't seem to get through it because I'm too tired when I get there, or the moves are too difficult, or I just don't understand how to do the moves, right? And it's like, I don't know how to get more leads. I don't know how to convert those leads. I don't know how to deliver the products. It's like, I knew how to do it at $100,000 a year, but now that I go to $1 million, it's like nothing works, or it's not working the way I thought it would, or it won't get me to $3 million a year. And so it's like, I love that analogy of rock climbing to entrepreneurship, because they so closely align. They're like, the problem isn't the problem. The problem is how you adapt to it, right? And because like the cliff is this cold, unfeeling thing. It doesn't care that you're struggling. It doesn't care how tall you are, how short you are, how much you weigh. It doesn't care about any of those things. It's up to you to adapt yourself to the problem and solve it. In the same way with your business, like the market doesn't care if you're black, white, Asian, white, woman, like them, that, the other, like it doesn't matter to the market. It just matters, can you conform to the problem to solve it? And that way, it's like an infinite game. You never get to the top. You never have to stop. That's awesome. But it can, on the other side of it, though, is like a lot of people can like get burnt out, crash and burn. They can never seem to bust through that that next plateau. They're like, I can get to that point on the climb, but I can't go higher. I can get to 10,000 a month, but I can't go higher. For those people, if you need help, go to beyondtheapex.com. Apply to work with us, and we'll help you. We'll help you get higher on the cliff. We'll never get to the top, but we'll have more fun on the ride up.